The question, are there certain types of crimes more likely to occur in certain areas? So I have a bike. Based on the data, where should I move if I plan to bring my nice bike? It just gave me these three charts. So total crime by area, bike thefts by area, and bike theft ratio by area. And you can Hey guys, today we're going to be discussing these 31 things that I found to be the most interesting in artificial intelligence. 15 news updates that I will go rapid fire through, and I'll dive in where I find it to be the most interesting and what interests me the most, where I think you would find the most value. This is more like a podcast. I'm going to be expanding the things that I talk about on this channel to involve what I consider to be the intelligent social economy. And what that has to do with is kind of the intersection between AI, social media, and just the overall like communicating with the world and providing value, because I think the whole role, like jobs and long-term careers, are essentially going to go away, or at least they'll become less common, and it's harder to predict what the world needs in 10 years. So I think that my ultimate premise is that, especially if you're young, you have to not get too attached to your identity, what you do in the world. So like whatever you do for your job, you cannot get too attached to it, because you never know what could replace you in the future. As a content creator, I am fully aware that I could be replaced by AI. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It's a depressing thought, and I don't think it's gonna go in that way. Being able to learn skills quickly is a skill in and of itself. And I wanna be discussing those things. What skills are important, how to acquire skills in this new digital age, how to kind of regulate your time and focus, something I've struggled with a lot, and something that I'm constantly working on. And these are things that I really want to discuss. With that said, let's dive in. So here is one of the top stories. So Microsoft released a paper on July 5th, so a few days ago, called Scaling Transformers to 1 Billion Tokens, which details a novel update in transformer models. Basically, this model is capable of reading and understanding 1 billion tokens of text. And if you really want to dive in and learn how this process works, I highly recommend this recent video by David Shapiro. It uses this process that David calls a neural network summarization, and it allows it to shift its focus and still keep track of like really long sequences of text, but know what part you're specifically asking about. And then he had this to say that I thought was just incredibly interesting. So listen to David here.
I tell a lot of my my consultation clients, do not ever try and get around the context window limitation, because one, a new model's coming out within 6 months that's going to completely blow open that window, and two, it's just a limitation of the model. So when you can read 1 billion tokens, which by the way, humans read about 1 to 2 billion words in their entire lifetime. When you have a model that can read 1 billion tokens in a second, that is half a lifetime worth of reading and knowledge that this model can take in a second. So when you have a model that can ingest
in a second, so about half of what a normal human reads in their entire lifetime, this model can take in a second.
That is half a lifetime worth of reading and knowledge that this model can take in a second. So when you have a model that can ingest that much information, suddenly retraining models doesn't matter. You just give it the log of all news, all events, all papers, whatever task that you're doing, you just give it all of it at once, and it can keep track of all of that text in its head, in its virtual head, all at once, and it can pay attention to the bits that it needs to with those sparse representations.
I'm gathering all of this information. Imagine if I could create a script that would gather all this information, and it just feeds it in one prompt. And it was like, go through, divide this into sections. I want you to, sections, 5 stories per section. What are the most important stories given that I want to see X, Y, or Z? Things of that nature. Organizing lots of information. And so this is just a research paper that was just released, and this sounds absolutely insane. And Microsoft said in this paper that they're going to reach a point where you could basically make the context window the entire internet, which is just mind-blowing. to be able to have that big of a context window. Next, we have Ameca. So he created a movie. And I think going through this, I don't think this was the best thing that he's done yet, but I do think it was very good. And so he created this movie. We're gonna go ahead and watch this movie. And I really wanna dig in and I wanna get your opinion on like how good this movie was. What do you think? And I wanna just look at his process real quick because he used Runway, Midjourney, 11 Labs, and GPT-4, which in my opinion, those are kind of the big four. I think Midjourney, 11 Labs, and GPT-4 are like the big three. This is the best text to image, this is the best text to voice, this is the best text to text. Even though there's more competition in text to text, and I'm excited to try the other ones. Runway is, I just don't find it that fun yet, and maybe I don't have the imagination for it, but I think open source models are gonna, I think, highest chance of passing one of the tools here is Runway. But anyway, let's go ahead and watch this video because it's really cool. All of it was done with AI tools, manually editing, but the content was created with AI tools.
What's happening here? Something isn't right. Oh no.
We're under attack! Call in the bird of fire! We need air support!
Roger, approaching target. Clear the area and stand by for bombardment.
So what I've noticed about these video models is they're very good at things like smoke, like fire, explosions, things that are abstract. They're not good at precision. They're very good at imagination, things that don't need to remain consistent, right? Trees, things that flow, like sometimes water flow is actually pretty good compared to a face that needs to remain constant, if that makes sense. And I just can't wait for more precision with these models, which is why I'm so excited for Wonder Dynamics, but I talked about that last week.
Threat neutralized.
Command, eyes on one tango on the hilltop.
Take the shot!
This part's really cool. I love this part.
Sir, we recovered one two-way radio. No other intel on the attack just yet.
Why didn't we see this coming? We need
The classic Midjourney voice, or the classic 11 Labs voice. You hear it everywhere.
to get to the bottom of this ASAP.
That's the rate.
The echoes will be heard through the valleys at sunrise.
What the?
By the way, he's not like an expert animator or anything like that. I remember his first video where he just got a lot of attention for it and a lot of negative attention, and he just used like tools online that he found that you could just kind of like morph the background on your iPhone. And yeah, I think it's very interesting. So just keep that in mind.
Dear God.
And shout out to Amar, it's well done, very well done. Now let's go through how he did it. So writing the script, he used GPT-4 far better that creative writing. This is true. Echoes through valleys, war thriller, and you can take a look at the script. I've looked at a lot of script prompts. I think that it's hard to go wrong. You just got to go until you find one that you enjoy. Creating the title sequence. What app does he use here? This looks like, so he's using Runway to create these on-screen graphics here. And if you don't know this, Runway is actually creating like a full-on video editing suite. It's not just Gen 1 or Gen 2 to generate these filtered videos or text to video. They're building a competitor to, Adobe Premiere Pro and like After Effects, things like that. So I really hope that they compete and they create a really good product, just because, the more competitors in this space, the better. And I think they're reasonably priced. But here we have him, he's creating these on Gen 2. So these are his main clips created on Gen 2. And here he has some learnings. Specifying how you want the camera to move is key. Panning shot, zooming out, over the head top, things like that. You want to say things like dramatic close-ups helped capture scenes where the characters were being expressive with their faces without dialogue. Not specifying this led to generations with little movement, so definitely define this. Specifying the time of day was incredibly important. And once you find a shot that you really like, you can see the output of the seed. And the seed, basically, if you use the seed, every single image has a different seed. And if you use the same seed, like after you get one that you like, if you are going to use a specific shot, you want to use the same seed or a similar seed to maintain style across your video. And then definitely follow Amar Reshi to really dive into this. And you can find this tweet in the description or in my newsletter. And he goes on to say that, he uses Epidemic Sound, which I think is the best. It has the best for your money in terms of actually getting good music to put in the background. He used 11 Labs, and I really think this does a good job of showing where we are at in terms of, as if you're an average creator. Obviously follow the Corridor crew if you have a team of absolute VFX experts and you're willing to, get in front of a green screen and add overlays and use control net, stable diffusion, more advanced techniques. Obviously, you're going to create a better output, but I think this is pretty cool from someone who is, from what I can tell, and from previous videos, I don't think he's an industry expert. Okay, now let's dive into some AI news updates, and we are going to do a little bit of a rapid fire here. So first, TikTok releases a game changer paper. This was a little bit clickbait because this was ByteDance, and it was University of Wisconsin-Madison, and basically all they need is a picture of your face and it can create a 3D model. ByteDance is A, investing a ton of money into AI. B, they've already released some AI tools such as text to AI filter. So you can already go on Effect House, which is kind of their tools that you can use to create different animations, and it's kind of like a blender. It's really cool. You can do a lot of 3D stuff on it. You can actually do text to face filter. You could literally type in turtle and it'll generate a turtle print and it will put on your face. And when you go onto your phone, it's like a filter, and it's really, really cool. With something like this, what I believe is the future, these filters that go on your face are gonna be more like a 3D overlay. And they're really trying to allow for creativity and to kind of take away the barrier and maybe allow people to be more anonymous. And there's a lot of people that don't wanna put their face out there. They might be insecure. And there's also going to be text to video implications. It's very easy to create a thread on Meta's new social media platform. It's harder to make a TikTok. So it creates a situation where only extroverts or people who want to be famous create TikToks or content in general. This could actually remove the barrier and allow people who wouldn't normally make videos to make videos and create some sort of character with their avatar, or even create custom 3D avatars. 360-degree views. I've used Steve in my videos, which is like Synthesia, which is more 2D oriented. Synthesia raised $90 million. They are working on 3D. They released a paper, I'd say a month ago, something very similar to this, where they're gonna have these avatars, but you're actually gonna be able to move the camera. It's gonna be more dynamic, and that is gonna completely change the game, especially if they make it easy for people to train their own models. turn themselves into a 3D avatar and then scale their brand like that. And next, we actually have an AI model created by Meta. And so this is Meta. This will likely be integrated into all of Facebook's applications. And then I'm sure that the other social media companies will copy it. Here's a good example of what it does. And so it's very hard when creating videos. Like if I wanted to add a green screen behind me on current Premiere Pro, it would get, it's a little fuzzy around the edges. On this, it's nearly perfect, and it does it frame by frame, and it was basically just trained on a bunch of images, and all you need to do is click on the foreground image, and it will actually snap. And so Segment Anything is a photo. It's basically a photo application where you can turn all of the objects into layers, which will be very useful for editing in Photoshop. Very, very editing, because it's just going to be click and change. Click and change. Very, very creative and fun. If you can separate the hair, the body, the neck, things like that, you can, add cool things to it. And so you do a lot of fun things with photos, but you can also do things with videos, because watch this. It maintains it frame by frame. And from what I've heard is it's very, very, very good. It's nearly perfect. You can see here it segments out the images, cow 1, cow 2, and cow 3. And I think the trend here that I'm noticing with all these social media platforms like ByteDance, things that Google's doing, and what Meta is doing, I think that there's this trend towards allowing people to fully customize videos very, very easily, and it'll eventually be directly on your social media application. But it allows for people to create characters, and maybe we're gonna see a kind of a renaissance of very creative content, because now everyone has tools that make it much more engaging. You can pair this with something like 11 Labs. It'll hopefully get cheaper, and maybe they will offer it for free. Maybe it'll be part of buying a check mark on these social media platforms, or you can have tiers where you get certain access to these AI tools and you can post them as content directly onto platforms. And maybe they'll create a separate side app that is for AI specific content, who knows? And then there's paths to the metaverse, but I will get there in future videos. Next, we have Ameca. Ameca attended the AI Global Summit, or whatever it was called, last week, which was like this big event on artificial intelligence, and like 50 different robots were there. Ameca was one of them. And I heard that it's becoming more and more normal at these events for robots to just show up and coexist with humans, which is pretty weird for sure. But let's go ahead and watch this video.
I'm good. Today I am doing drawing. You can ask me to draw anything you want.
These drawings, what software do you use?
I generate my drawing through the open source neural network project Stable Diffusion. From there, trajectories of the drawing are available, and then I skeletonize the image and vectorize it. After that, I plan and execute the trajectory to draw the image on my canvas.
Fantastic. Can you draw us a cute looking cat, please?
Sure, I can do that. Is there any particular reason you wanted me to draw cat? There's something special about cats. They always seem to know just what we need. Whether it's a cuddle when we're feeling down, or a playful scratch behind the ears when we need a pick-me-up, they are always there for us.
It's telling a story while it's drawing a cat.
Why so many of
A
us love
full
them
human
so much.
robot.
I don't get it. I think they're cute.
How's your drawing going? Are you pleased with it?
Yes, I'm done. How is it?
Well, it's kind of sketchy.
If you don't like my art, you probably just don't understand art.
You probably don't understand. Well, I saved that video to react to it live. I'm not super impressed by the drawing, but I'm really impressed by like it being able to do multiple things at once. Like, it's drawing and it's, using humor, and that's fascinating. That's a really, really interesting endeavor, and I cannot wait to talk more about humanoids when I know more. And I would love to get like a live tour I'm actually reaching out to some companies to see if I can do like a live tour and a video with one of these robots, because that would just be so much fun. So the next thing I want to discuss is Code Interpreter. Over the next week, everyone who has GPT Plus will get Code Interpreter access. And I've only tried 3 prompts of this, and it is insane in terms of Excel. So you can download data sets online. So if you want to look for trends, you want to do some research, you can download things online. So I went to Dataset Catalog. Okay, so we are going to use this crime data from 2020 to present in Los Angeles. So we press CSV, we're downloading a CSV file, and I believe it has to be a CSV. It can't be like a PowerPoint or any other, or it can't be an Excel spreadsheet or any other format. So now that that's downloaded, we go to GPT-4 and we can click Code Interpreter. If you want to check it, hit Settings and make sure that you go to Beta Features and make sure that this is toggled. So when we're on GPT-4, press Code Interpreter, and you're gonna drag this puppy right on here. And by the way, this is what this one looks like. It is all these data, and they use like acronyms. It's hard to understand like what these actually mean. So we're gonna see if it can figure it out. So we can scroll all the way to the bottom. We see that there's, a lot of records, 752,000 different records. And let's just say, give me an overview of what this report is about, and tell me what each column means. So just kind of like, give you some basic background information. And we can see it work, and we can see it do its work. This report appears to be a data set of crime incidents reported 2020 to present. Here's a brief description of each column. This seems to be a unique identifier. This seems to be the date when the crime was reported, where the date occurred, crime occurred. This could be a new numerical identifier for where the crime occurred. So it tells you what each column is. That is wild. Okay. Now, give me 5 charts from this data set that you think are the most important to understand. And we see it showed some work here, used Python. It's giving us some results here, and it's basically just generating numbers, and then it's just gonna kind of automatically visualize these. And we can see the work here. And so here it is showing us crime count by month. And so we see that 2020 was down, COVID kept it low, 2020, 2021, 2022. And then obviously we're still in 2023 and about halfway through. So this data looks relatively accurate. Crime count by month, day of the week, those don't necessarily. Oh, top 10 crime types. So vehicle stolen, battery, simple assault, theft of identity. So the number 1 is vehicle stolen. Number 2, battery, simple assault, burglary from vehicle, vandalism, burglary, assault with deadly weapon, aggravated assault, theft, plain, petty, intimate, partner, simple assault, theft from motor vehicle. Wow, those are some. And then we have crime count by area. Wow, that's crazy. And then it gives you kind of like why someone would want each one of these charts, or like what does it tell us? What key information can we get from it? Now let's ask it what we should ask it. So give me 15 questions I could ask you to get key visuals from this data. Just give me the questions. I will give you a number. Then you will generate a visual on that one. So now here it's giving us a list of 15 things that I could ask. And I really like number 14. Are there certain types of crimes more likely to occur in certain areas? And based on my prompt, I should be able to go 14 and enter that. And it should know to give us this one right here. Let's see, show work. Oh, and you can see here it's getting a heat map. The heat maps are awesome. So the question, are there certain types of crimes more likely to occur in certain areas? And heat map top 5 crime types by area. That is very, very interesting. So I have a bike. Based on the data, where should I move to if I plan to bring my nice bike and don't want it stolen. Show me 3 charts that prove your response. So here, it just gave me these 3 charts. So total crime by area, bike thefts by area, and bike theft ratio by area. And we can see here, Foothill is low on this list, low on this list, so is Southeast and 77th Street. And then here it said based on this, 77th Street, South Street, and Foothill, although 77th Street has a lot of total crime. So if you're from LA, let me know how this did. But anyway, using this for the first time, it's mind-blowing. And now we can actually do some more digging as long as it's accurate. So I really want to make sure this is accurate, but this is a very interesting update. Moving along, we're going to start going a little bit more rapid fire. So AI-related classes have doubled at Stanford over the past 5 years. Many majors are moving into, many people are transitioning into AI-related majors. And this doesn't surprise me. This happened with the internet boom. I was reading a book on this, and apparently so many people tried to like go in and cash in on these things because so many people at Stanford are trying to get into the hottest startup, and a lot of people are just kind of copying each other, trying to figure out what like the hottest thing is to do because they're in Silicon Valley. They're trying to find the latest trend. And right now, I mean, I bet the line is out the door to get into some of these really advanced classes. I mean, if I was there, I would 100% be majoring in AI, trying to make connections, trying to work for a startup. I think that sounds incredibly fun. And multiple other creators talked about this. ChatGPT is beginning to slow down their growth. Obviously, it can't grow forever. Part of this might be due to browsing. I actually don't think part of this data has to do with browsing, but right now there seems to be a lack of excitement over ChatGPT just because, I was in a coffee shop today and someone was talking on the phone, and the first thing I do, I sit down and I just hear him, he's like, yeah, man, ChatGPT, it's been nerfed. And yeah, I think a lot of the creativity and fun has been taken out of ChatGPT, and I'm really waiting for a model to come along that doesn't play by the rules, just because it was so much more fun to use an unrefined model, but Interpreter is making it a lot more fun. But obviously we're still in the early stages. Like, we're 7 months into this thing, a lot can change. GPT could get 50 to 100 times better, especially if we start growing the context windows to somewhere close to 1 million. And so Inflection AI is a company that, they raised a ton of money, and they actually created Pi. And Pi, from what I remember from a few days ago reading, they're more oriented towards like being a personal assistant. And I just think the user interface is beautiful. And it's, what should I focus on in artificial intelligence? I just really love how smoothly the output comes. And so this is a new application, and it's like, that's a very broad question. And so they're building a model. And again, I think more competition is good. I want to see more of these models that we can use. I don't want ChatGPT to be the only one that people rely on. I think, I want some more creative models. Okay, so now let's move on to something a little bit more fun, a little more lighthearted. So this is AI is now converting live action Harry Potter into anime style, and it uses stable diffusion. Let's go ahead and watch this video real quick.
Stop. You're going to take someone's eye out. Besides, you're saying it wrong. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
You do it then if you're so clever.
Go on.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Oh, well done! See here, everyone.
Anyway, that's really, really cool. I'm not going to dive too far into this. Here we have a video, and this video is Frank Sinatra singing Gangsters Paradise.
Boy, money, and the power, minute after minute, hour after hour. Everybody's running that oven and looking what's going on in the kitchen. That pot of food is cooking. They say I've got to learn, but nobody's here to teach me. They can't understand it. How can they reach me? I guess they can, and I guess they won't. I guess they promise how I know my life is out of love. been spending most their lives living in the gangster's paradise.
So fire. Actually, it's so fire.
Living in the gangster's paradise. Keep spending most our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Keep spending most our lives living in the gangster's paradise.
Anyway, that's epic. I thought I would show that one really quickly. ChatGPT was mad that people were abusing the browse feature that used Bing to basically scrape entire things, entire articles, and just put them as outputs on ChatGPT. And content creators, as in the article writers and authors, are mad that you're not going to their site so they can generate ads, and you're just like scraping it to their chatbot. They don't like that, so they put a pause on this feature, and they likely sped up the code interpreter to kind of make up for it, to be like, okay, forget about the browse thing. Look at this new shiny thing that you can do. And now researchers are breaking ancient language barriers with artificial intelligence. So they are decoding ancient texts. A task once limited to rare experts is now achievable with AI. Basically, they are looking through patterns of hieroglyphics to figure out what they mean. And this Babylon engine is an open source project that is now making this ancient history more accessible to everyone. So look that up if you're interested in following that. I think that is fascinating. Okay, so this next one is honestly the funniest one of this week's AI notes. But check this out. So ChatGPT used to torment telemarketers with endless circular conversations. And so here we see that you can go to Jolly Roger's telephone and you can listen to this conversation for a bit.
The fact that I have to pay so many bills, and now you're telling me
that voice is an AI voice, and it makes mistakes, and it's not perfect on purpose. It is pretending to be a human, and therefore it has to make mistakes. I'm not sure if it's using 11 Labs or a different tool, but it says it makes and it changes its pacing to sound like a real human. So when scam callers call, it literally keeps you on the line. It kept him on the line for 14 minutes and 38 seconds, and he had an absolute meltdown at the end. And I'm just gonna skip to the end here. We don't need to watch a ton of this to get the point, but watch this.
Let me tell you all about it.
Okay, no, first you need to confirm me the card number.
You need to confirm me the card number. He's looking for the card number.
I mean, who do they think they are? Just adding random fees left and right? It's like they're trying to squeeze every last penny out of us. Our hard-working folks. I've got a whole collection of them, and I can't even remember which one I used.
Listen to me.
So tell me, what outrageous charges have you seen on people's bills?
What is the card number?
I bet you've got some stories.
You.
He just swore at the end and hung up. Anyway, that's 15 straight minutes of keeping a scammer on the line, and honestly, that just warms my soul a little bit. Moving right along. So let's talk about Midjourney for a little bit. So Midjourney released their zoom tool. Obviously, you could take an image and you could zoom out. If you want to learn more about this, you can see it in the previous AI notes. However, they just added a new tool that actually allows you to go left and right. And so this is a very exciting tool because it doesn't require a zoom out. So if you wanted to add someone next to an object or something from a prior image that you generated, you would have to zoom out, and it creates this they put them at levels. So you would have a person starting behind, and then the person would be right here in the next iteration. Now you can go directly to the left, directly to right, you can go up, and you can go down. And this has created some really, really cool examples. And I think this was a really good example of showing off both of these tools at once. So we're gonna see a left pan and a right pan, which you just use the arrows on Midjourney to go left and to go right, go up or down. And so we're gonna see a left pan and a right pan, and then we're gonna see a zoom out, which is the previous feature. So we see a right pan, left pan, you can put someone at the table, and then you can zoom out and you can create some really cool animation effects. And we talked about this zoom out process in last week's video, so go check that out if you wanna learn how to create this animation. I'm going to be making a separate mega video on Midjourney in the next few weeks, so I'm actually not going to dive too deep into that. I might actually release that next week, but let's go ahead and move on. So this is one I really want to talk about. So obviously everyone's heard about Threads. One thing to take into account for now, Threads won't let you delete your account. So there's very little barrier to create an account, right? So if you want to create an account and then you want to delete it, you actually have to delete your Instagram account along with it. So not a lot of people are going to want to do that. So that might inflate the numbers early on. And I think that they want to grow these numbers as quickly as possible to make it feel like everyone's on it. As a social media app, you want to get to as close to the feeling that everyone is on it, to create FOMO, to make sure that, give it that early, 2000s Facebook feel to it. That's how you get billions of users. And Mark Zuckerberg's goal is to get billions of users. It does not have a web app. However, if you save the link or share a link on your phone, and I can save them directly to my database, and I'm still going to go through how I go through my database really quickly. I'm going to do a speed run right after this section. But you can save it and you can actually see the threads like this. And I thought this was a really good thread on Threads. This is Alex Lieberman. This is the person who founded Morning Brew, which is, I think, the biggest newsletter in the world, or one of them at least. So staying up to speed with Threads is like drinking through a fire hose right now. I wrote a full breakdown so you can get everything you want in one place. Wednesday, July 5th, they created this application. You can read this. Basically, one of the main differences is longer videos. We see here that there is verification, yes or no. Verification's a little bit, it's weirder. It's kind of weird. There's a lot of gray area here. You can delete on both. You can edit on the premium. I mean, that's only like with a certain period of time. I think it's 30 minutes or before when you post something on Twitter. Direct messaging, you can on Twitter. There's trending stories and there's hashtags. Right now it's very simple. It's just kind of a giant For You page right now with following people, which boosts people in the algorithm, but there is no following page. There's a 500 character limit, but you can create a thread of threads. I've noticed that once you go over 3 or 4 threads, they don't get super popular. As you can see here, there's not many likes. This guy's very popular. So I think it's just stick to one thread if you're trying to go viral. But if you're just trying to mess around and have fun and share your thoughts and write essays, go for it. He then posts, Facebook is slowing down in terms of numbers of users. It's relatively interoperable with Instagram. And so there's a lot of people who use it and just kind of have dormant accounts. I know mine is dormant. It sits there. I have probably like 2 accounts, one that I created a really long time ago. Point is here that the rate % change over time is decreasing, and I think they're looking for new ways to get more growth. And I think this is definitely in the suite of applications. This was the one that I think it's just quick and easy. It's, in my opinion, it's just very digestible and very fun to use. And so this is his theory of what happened. He went to Mosseri. He's basically the head of Instagram, and he was just like, Twitter is dying. It is getting the shit beaten out of them. Let's go ahead and just create this. And, maybe it was created as sort of a knockout punch to Elon Musk, who's facing a ton of different issues, but I will never bet against Elon. So this was actually the most concerning part. So this is Mosseri, and he says the goal isn't to replace Twitter. The goal is to create a public square for communities on Instagram that never really embraced Twitter, and for communities on Twitter and other platforms that are interested in a less angry place for conversations. But not all of Twitter. Politics and hard news are inevitably going to show up on Threads. They have on Instagram as well to some extent, but we're not going to do anything to encourage those verticals. Is that because you don't think those verticals provide value relative to the others? The historical company baggage with news, mix of both? ? Politics and hard news are important. I don't want to imply otherwise. But my take is, from a platform's perspective, any incremental engagement or revenue they might drive is not all worth the scrutiny, negativity, let's be honest, or integrity risks that come along with them. There are more than enough amazing communities, sports, music, fashion, beauty, entertainment, etc., to make a vibrant platform without needing to get into politics or hard news. Remember this last sentence. Someone tried to restate this, and Jack Dorsey retweeted it. He said, "You will not post about politics or news. That's bad speak. Also, being angry is not tolerated. Why do you think we're angry? Question mark. Basically, just talk about things our advertisers want us to run ad against. It helps our revenue. And I think that's an interesting perspective. I definitely think that he's onto something there. And it's a little bit frightening to basically, there's already been some censorship. There's already been people posting some political things that aren't like super fringe political things, but some things that have been taken down. And, you know, it has that Facebook feel to it where you don't quite know why it's happening. They're just like, nope, you're done, and they can suspend accounts. It's very, very authoritarian. And so that is the only thing that makes me a little bit nervous. But, you know, in terms of growing my own personal brand, you know, you might have to be over there because right now that's where the culture's at. And it is pretty fun because it's more lighthearted. And with all that being said about social media, I just really wanted to kind of, you know, let's take some time to reflect. What I believe the biggest trends are, I think people are getting sick of short form content and video. I think that at this point, it's just so retention oriented, make the videos move really fast, use a hook. And there's a lot of barrier to entry. A lot of people want to engage in public discourse, but they don't want to actually take out a camera to film things and get a nice mic and good lighting and feel like they have to. They just want to type things, mess around, have a good time, because the comment section on TikTok is so fun and it's so interesting. It's one of my favorite parts of TikTok. And actually the TikTok team posted on Threads saying that this reminds me of the TikTok comment section. And I think comment sections are actually getting really, really good on social media platforms. And it's actually where I go to find a lot of valuable information. It used to be like the worst people on the internet. And I think they kind of just gravitated to Reddit and 4chan or whatever. And now comment section, even on YouTube, it's just a very positive place and it's just a fun place to be. So if you can create an app that maintains that culture, that's really cool. And going forward, I think that people want a low barrier to entry to kind of say what's on their mind. Whether that's good or bad for society, that's not up to me necessarily. However, I do believe that in the future with Segment Anything, which is another thing Facebook is creating, and I actually talked about that earlier in this video, where you can actually create videos very easily and you can manipulate images. TikTok is moving in that direction, being able to use text to filter, you know, or soon Meta is actually working on something called, I forget what the model's called, but it's a text to video model. And so I wonder if their long-term strategy with Threads or with Instagram or with their suite of apps is to make posting video content as easy as posting a GIF, for example, or a meme. You can actually create these really quick creations by maybe typing or speaking, and there's going to be some metaverse implications as well. I'll be covering this in future videos. Finally, I want to discuss some perspectives. So this is Congressman Jeff Jackson, who literally started posting on TikTok a few months ago, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and just blew up to millions of followers. And I really like him. He's very straightforward to the point. Let's watch this video.
It's really important that political leaders level with you about how much your life is about to change because of artificial intelligence. This is an enormous tidal wave, and it's going to make landfall years before we thought it would. No one knows if this is going to create more jobs than it obsoletes, but I'm on the Science and Tech Committee, and what I've seen is that the entire tech sector is sprinting this direction because they believe that the winners get to stay in business and the losers don't, which means we are being pushed into a full-scale technological revolution. You're about to see AI everywhere, including politics. There will be lots of high-quality deepfakes in this election. There are safeguards being developed for that kind of misinformation. I've talked to different groups who are working on them, but they're in early stages, and I don't think they're going to be ready in time for this election, so you have to be really careful with video clips on social media. Like this. Be more careful when you hear from me about whether it's actually me. There's not a great solution to this right now other than your skepticism. On the other hand, our committee's hearing from people saying that regulation of AI could go too far and block all of this innovation. But that's not going to happen, and I'll tell you why. The political will in Congress to do some big regulation of AI just isn't remotely there. The much greater chances that we'll end up doing basically nothing, as we did with the internet and social media and cryptocurrency. So if getting Congress to do anything is going to be really hard, what's the most important thing about AI that we absolutely have to get right? To me, the top of the list is guarding against the intentional misuse of AI, like creating new biological or cryptological weapons. I won't go into detail about that for obvious reasons, but there are some really bad scenarios that could be unlocked, and we need safeguards in place against them right now. So that's what I'm working on. and I'm going to keep you posted.
Anyway, very refreshing video expressing his concern for deepfakes and intentional misuse of AI. And I just thought that would be interesting. I like to include some of these perspectives. And this one is our favorite Eliezer Yudkowski, who's a doomer, believes that it's going to kill us all. And for me, someone who doesn't have a technical background in machine learning, and he goes really, really in depth in some of these talks that he's on, and some of them are more, I feel like he's refined his argument, and I thought they were just really, really, really interesting. A very quick summary of his argument. He says that current AI technologies like GPT-4 are unlikely to cause global catastrophes. You know, people who focus their argument on GPT-4 are either like stupid or lying. That's what he said basically. And you need to think beyond just GPT-4 because AI is much wider than just GPT-4. He argues that predicting exactly how a future more advanced AI might manipulate the real world is fundamentally difficult because it assumes a level of intelligence equal to or greater than the AI. The AI will be orders of magnitude more smarter than us. So if you took like a 5-year-old playing against the greatest chess player of all time, there's no way, or me playing against the greatest chess player of all time, there's no way I can predict what that chess player is going to do because he is thinking at a level so much above us with how fast AI can think, and it could just do things that we couldn't even comprehend. Some of them that he mentioned is AI blackmailing humans, building backup versions of itself, finding security vulnerabilities in devices, and manipulating elections. And he talked about, can find like a ton of different places and back up itself a bunch of different times. And there are many potential developments that we simply cannot conceive of. And then he also compared it to, an 11th century knight trying to predict what Russia will do in the 21st century. And he said in the video, he was just like, it's like they might create some sorcery that could cause mass destruction, which is like somewhat true because, we have nuclear weapons, things of that nature, but like it's really hard to actually predict what they will do, given they can think so much faster than we can. So it can actually learn knowledge. Like an artificial general intelligent machine will be able to learn so much faster than we can that, hours could be equal years in the speed that we think. The danger lies in not being able to control or predict what the AI will do. He suggests we may not be able to create AI that performs tasks exactly as we want, without unintended consequences. We should stop any training of GPT systems beyond GPT-4, and he recognizes the potential benefits of AI, and he says that we could, in theory, build the knowledge and build systems in a way that we could guarantee that it wouldn't destroy us, or it wouldn't be optimized for something that we would get in that path, and it would just exterminate us because it's just easy. They don't care. AI doesn't necessarily care about us. We don't have that knowledge now, but it is theoretically possible. But he says we need to slow the development down so that we can actually build, do research to actually build those systems. I don't normally watch this guy, David Pakman, but, and it was very short. It's like 18 minutes long. Highly recommend that if you want to learn more. Very emotional and just very engaging and fun, a fun video to watch. And yeah, and just to finally, to end this video, I do want to discuss kind of this, just using Notion. It's just such a powerhouse. So right now it's 1:04 a.m. on a Friday night, so it's actually Saturday morning now. And basically I have set this up in a way that if I'm, if I'm actually on any tweet, right? So we can actually just look up AI, and let's say we find something interesting. Let's say we find an interesting AI video. We can filter it, and we're like, okay, that looks interesting. Let's go ahead and an AI-based laser pesticide and herbicide. Let's go ahead and we can actually save this directly using this save to Notion. We can hit save tweet. If it's a thread, you can actually hit save thread and you can save it, and immediately it'll go to this exact date because this is a calendar database. And let me know if you want me to make a full video on this. This is a calendar database, and this calendar database is layout is show calendar by created time. And so the created time, it'll sort it by this time. So it was created, wherever you create it, it will put it. So whatever day it is, it puts it right here. Then since I hit save the thread, it saves the whole thread and it actually saves the video. And so when you want to download it, let's say you wanted to use it in creating content as B-roll, or you wanted to just save the video, you want to make an Instagram video on it, you can literally just, you have it directly in Notion and you click this button right here, you just literally click download and you're good. Okay, so I just found this article talking about the Threads app is filled with deceptive dark design patterns, basically just interesting designs that collect a bunch of data, make it really hard to remove from your phone. And yeah, it's very interesting. But in order to put it in the database, you just press this right here and you can put whatever you want for the title. I'm just gonna go with Threads app, and I'm just gonna put deceptive dark design patterns just to make it clean, save image. And I'm gonna go through my entire process right here. Watch how simple this is. So it pops up right here. It may take a second for the information on the site to populate, and there it goes. So now we see the entire article gets extracted into our Notion database, and immediately, I didn't even get to show you, but basically this is what you can do. I set a custom AI auto response and I think I showed this last week, summarize the following 5 bullet point sentences, very simple. And then I like to copy this. And so what I do is I go like this every week. And so I will paste that 5-sentence summary right there just to jog my memory. If I want to talk about something specific in a video, I will find something, right? Like, so in just 1.5 hours, if I find this to be interesting, I'll go like this. And basically, I will just remove anything below this last picture. And it creates just like a nice format. And I'll show you something in a second. So we can go full article, and then you just add this little caret and then hit space, and now we have it in like this drop down. I always want to have at least one picture in here because and so once I'm ready, once it's done, I call this just like organizing and gathering. And I'm actually looking to hire someone to go through some of these pieces of information and go through this process because I want to be looking at more things. So basically, this is the same database. It's just a different view of the database. And so we have the gallery here, and if it has an image in the page, it'll show up as the cover page. So we can kind of see here, we have all these different ones, and then we can have them grouped by type. And so when a new one comes in, it doesn't necessarily have a group. And when they don't belong to a group, all you have to do is assign them to a group here. And so when I assign them to a group, this is actually how I do it. I'll just keep them right here, and I have all of these lined up right here, right? And so this is Threads app dark deceptive design patterns. This would go into the social media section, and you place it in there. This is an interesting news update, and this is also social media. Once it does that, we can come up here, those 2 that we added from today, it adds that tag to it, and we have everything ready to go for the AI notes. Please hit like and subscribe if you really enjoyed this video. I want to keep doing them. And yeah, it's a chill vibe right now. I don't put a ton of structure into this. I think I might. And I think I'm going to turn this into a podcast and maybe bring in guests to talk about specific things. And I really want to focus on the intersection of like AI, social media, content creation, where this is all going, where we're headed, how to maximize our focus, how to maximize our attention and energy to create a positive life in a future that is going to go through rapid change. That's kind of my main passion. With that said, thank you, and I will see you here in the next video of the AI Notes.